There is one place on Earth no one is allowed to touch. No flags, no footprints, no summit photos. Not because humans failed, but because humans were told not to try. 4 religions, billions of believers. One mountain. And what if this mountain isn't just sacred but mathematically positioned at the heart of the planet? Welcome to Mount Kailash, the most mysterious mountain on Earth. Mount Kailash stands at 6,638 meters in the remote Tibetan plateau. It's not the tallest mountain. It's not the deadliest. It's not even the hardest to climb. Yet, it is the only mountain on Earth that no one has ever officially summited. What makes it different is not its height, but its position. Ancient cultures didn't choose sacred sites randomly. They chose places where Earth behaves differently, and Mount Kailash sits in one of the strangest locations on the planet. Ancient texts describe a world axis, a vertical line connecting heaven, earth, and the underworld. In Hindu and Buddhist cosmology, this axis is called Mount Meru. Many believe Mount Kailash is Mount Meru. Now, here's where it gets interesting. When you measure Earth symbolically, not with modern GPS, but with ancient proportional geometry, Mount Kailash sits near the planet's vertical balance line between the North Pole and South Pole. Not exact to the meter, but exact in ratio. Ancient civilizations didn't measure distance like we do. They measured meaning. North Pole, the crown of Earth. South Pole, the root. Mount Kailash, the heart. The same pattern exists in the human body. Coincidence or design? One of the most controversial claims surrounding Mount Kailash. The distance from Mount Kailash to the South Pole mirrors the height of Kailash multiplied by 100,000. To scientists, this sounds impossible. But ancient builders didn't use meters. They used scaled cosmological units. The same symbolic scaling appears in Egyptian pyramids, Vedic architecture, ancient temples worldwide. This doesn't prove construction, but it suggests intentional placement. The question is no longer, is it exact? But why does this pattern keep repeating? Stonehenge in England, built thousands of years ago, aligned perfectly too. Solstices, solar cycles, astronomical events now place Stonehenge on a global map. It sits on a ley line, a straight energetic path linking ancient sacred sites. Trace that path eastward. It points toward Tibet, toward Mount Kailash. Stonehenge appears to be a receiver. Mount Kailash the source. 2 cultures, no contact, same cosmic obsession. Now draw a triangle on Earth. Mount Kailash, Asia. Great Pyramid of Giza, Africa, Easter Island, Pacific. These 3 points are isolated, are spiritually significant. Use impossible stonework, sit far from population centers. The Great Pyramid aligns to true north with near-perfect accuracy. Mount Kailash aligns naturally and without construction. Easter Island statues face inward, not outward, as if watching something inside the planet. Some believe this triangle marks Earth's energy framework. Others say it marks something we were never meant to disturb. From above, Mount Kailash looks unnatural. Perfect symmetry, sharp edges, flat faces. No other Himalayan peak looks like this. Geologists say erosion did it. Critics ask, why only here? Why the most sacred mountain on Earth? And why does the south face form a natural swastika? An ancient symbol of eternity and cosmic order, long before modern misuse. 4 of Asia's greatest rivers originate near Kailash: Indus, Brahmaputra, Sutlej, and Karnali. Together they support over 1 billion people. Ancient texts called Kailash the navel of the world. Pilgrims performing the 52 kilometers Kora report. Time distortion, extreme emotional release, physical exhaustion without cause. Some claim hair and nails grow faster. Others say watches stop working, no proof. But the stories never stop. Explorers report compass failures, GPS errors, drone signal loss. China enforces. No climbing, no drones near the summit, no excavation. Not even scientists are allowed to study the peak closely. In an age where Everest is crowded, Kailash remains untouched. Local legends say the mountain is hollow. Hidden tunnels exist. Enlightened beings enter and exit. Some monks claim the mountain is not stone. It is a structure. No one can prove it. No one is allowed to check. Just a few kilometers from Mount Kailash lie 2 lakes that should not exist together. Lake Manasarovar, known as the Lake of the Gods. Fresh water, calm and reflective, considered pure enough to cleanse karma. Pilgrims drink from it. Lake Rakshastal, known as the Demon Lake. Salt water, no life, violent winds, dark blue to almost black. No pilgrims bathe here. Here's the impossible part: they sit side by side. They do not mix, no visible barrier, no geological explanation that fully satisfies scientists. Ancient texts say one lake was created by the gods, the other by demons. Yin and yang, light and darkness, positive and negative energy, perfectly balanced next to Mount Kailash. Among all the legends of Mount Kailash, only one name is ever spoken as having reached its summit: Milarepa, the great Tibetan Buddhist yogi and saint. Milarepa lived in the 11th century. Before enlightenment, he was believed to have practiced dark magic driven by anger and revenge. Racked with guilt, he later devoted his life to extreme spiritual discipline, meditation and isolation. According to Tibetan tradition, Milarepa did not climb Mount Kailash. He ascended it spiritually. Legend tells of a challenge between Milarepa and a powerful Bon priest named Naro Bonchung. Both claimed spiritual mastery. Both sought to prove whose path was true. The challenge: whoever reached the summit of Mount Kailash first would be victorious. At dawn, the Bon priest began climbing using ritual magic. Milarepa did not climb. He is said to have sat in meditation, and at the final moment rose on a ray of sunlight, reaching the summit instantly. The Bon priest was defeated, not by force but by realization. In Tibetan belief, this is why no human has climbed Kailash since. Milarepa did not conquer the mountain. He did not leave footprints. He did not claim ownership. He was already empty of ego. Monks say, Kailash cannot be climbed by effort. It is reached only when there is no one left to arrive. This is why modern climbers are forbidden, not because they lack skill, but because the mountain is not a test of the body. It is a test of self. Milarepa's story is not about altitude, it is about transformation. A man who once used darkness, who purified himself completely, and was therefore no longer bound by the mountain. This is why Kailash is never described as punishing. It does not age you, it does not kill you. According to Tibetan belief, Mount Kailash reflects exactly what you bring to it. Another strange observation: birds avoid flying over the summit. Aircraft avoid the airspace. Even drones fail near the peak. Some claim sudden downdrafts, magnetic disturbances, pressure anomalies. Others believe something about the mountain disrupts natural navigation. Animals sense what humans ignore. Now we go global. Ancient Hindu texts describe Mount Meru as located at the center of the world, surrounded by concentric lands and oceans. Some alternative researchers suggest ancient maps were pole-centric, not continent-centric. What we call north today may not have been north in the past. This brings us to Antarctica. Ancient Hindu and Buddhist cosmology describes Mount Meru not as a mountain on a map, but as a cosmic axis, the symbolic center around which the world is ordered. According to these texts, Mount Meru stands at the center of the world. Lands and oceans are arranged in concentric circles. The sun, moon, and stars move in relation to this axis. Importantly, these descriptions were symbolic, not geographical in the modern sense. They described how the world was understood, not how it would appear on a satellite image. Some alternative researchers suggest that ancient maps may have been pole-centric rather than continent-centric. In a pole-centric model, the world is drawn around a central axis. Directions are defined by rotation, and the center represents stability. This means what ancient cultures called north may not match modern magnetic or geographic north. Earth's magnetic poles are known to shift, and evidence shows they have moved significantly in the past. Antarctica is unique. It sits at a planetary pole, it is hidden beneath kilometers of ice, and it remains the least explored continent on Earth. Some ancient maps, created centuries before modern polar exploration, appear to depict landforms resembling Antarctica, a fact that still sparks debate. This has led to speculation that ancient knowledge of Earth's geography may have been broader than assumed, or that some map makers relied on much older sources now lost. In this framework, Mount Kailash is seen as the symbolic axis on land, and Antarctica represents the planetary pole. Both occupy roles of stillness and balance. This does not mean Kailash is Antarctica. Rather, it suggests that different cultures use different symbols to describe the same idea, a fixed center in a moving world. Across civilizations, the most sacred places are never at the edges. They are always placed at the center. Whether that center is physical, symbolic, or spiritual, Mount Kailash consistently appears where cultures locate meaning, not power. Maps like the Piri Reis map of 1513 and the Orontius Phineas map of 1531. These maps show Antarctica without ice, river systems beneath current ice sheets, and coastlines accurate beyond 20th century surveying. Ice core data suggests Antarctica has been frozen for thousands of years. So who mapped it? And more importantly, why do some reconstructions place Mount Kailash at the geometric center of these ancient world maps? Some scientists accept that Earth's magnetic poles shift and that catastrophic pole reversals happened in the past. Alternative theorists believe ancient civilizations existed before the last major shift, and their north was not our north. If true, Mount Kailash may once have aligned directly with the true planetary axis, and Antarctica may have been temperate land. This would explain advanced mapping, global sacred alignment, and the sudden loss of ancient knowledge. Some theories suggest Mount Kailash is a planetary stabilizer, a frequency regulator, a natural or artificial Earth resonance node. It's no coincidence. Schumann resonance studies often focus on Himalayan regions, and many monks meditate exclusively facing Kailash. The mountain isn't worshipped, it's listened to. Ask yourself, why hasn't this mountain been fully scanned, drilled, or studied with modern tech? The official reason, respect for religion. The unofficial reason? No one wants to answer what might be found. There is no other place on Earth sacred to so many different belief systems at the same time. Not a city, not a river, a single mountain. Mount Kailash is not owned by one religion. It is shared. In Hindu belief, Mount Kailash is the eternal abode of Lord Shiva. Shiva is not a god of conquest or creation alone. He is the destroyer of illusion, the lord of meditation, time, and transformation. Ancient Hindu texts describe Shiva seated at the summit in deep samadhi, the mountain as Mount Meru, the cosmic axis, the point where heaven and earth meet. An important detail, Shiva does not rule from a palace. He sits on bare stone covered in ash. This matters because it reflects the belief that Kailash is not a place of luxury, but of renunciation. This is why no temples are built on the peak, and no idols are placed at the summit. The mountain itself is the shrine. In Tibetan Buddhism, Mount Kailash is known as Kang Rinpoche, the precious snow jewel. It is believed to be the home of Demchok, a deity representing supreme bliss and enlightenment. For Buddhists, Kailash is a living mandala, and walking around it is an act of meditation where each step mirrors the journey toward awakening. The Kora, the ritual circumambulation, is central here. Some monks perform full-body prostrations, one movement per breath, taking weeks to complete a single circuit. To them, the mountain is not climbed, it is contemplated. Before Buddhism reached Tibet, there was Bern, and Bern already regarded Mount Kailash as sacred. In Bern belief, Kailash is the seat of the sky goddess Sipaiman, the center of the 9-level universe, a place of power, not symbolism. Unlike Buddhism, Bern practitioners traditionally circumambulate counterclockwise. This is not opposition, it reflects a different cosmic orientation. The famous legend of Milarepa and the Boon priest is not a story of defeat. It marks a transition where older and newer traditions both acknowledge Kailash as supreme. In Jain belief, Mount Kailash is known as Ashtapada. It is believed to be the place where Rishabhadeva, the first Tirthankara, attained moksha, final liberation from the cycle of rebirth. This makes Kailash a site of ultimate spiritual success, a place where the soul becomes free. Not a destination, but an ending. Jain philosophy is built on non-violence, renunciation, and self-discipline. A mountain that cannot be conquered fits perfectly within Jain ethics. While not central in Abrahamic traditions, some scholars note parallels. Ancient Central Asian traditions described a world mountain. Zoroastrian cosmology speaks of Hara Berezaiti, a cosmic peak, and indigenous Himalayan tribes see Kailash as the origin of life. Different names, same idea, a vertical connection between worlds. These religions developed in different eras, had different philosophies, and often disagreed on doctrine. Yet none claimed ownership of Mount Kailash. No wars were fought over it. No monuments were built on it. No one tried to rename it. They all agreed on one thing: this place does not belong to humans. Across history, humans have climbed everything they could reach. They crowned peaks, carved stone, planted flags, and called it victory. But in the middle of our world, there is one mountain we chose not to conquer. Not because we lacked the strength, but because across cultures, languages, and centuries, people felt the same quiet truth. Some called it the home of Shiva, seated in eternal stillness. Some saw it as Demchok's mandala, where every step becomes prayer. Some knew it as the seat of the sky goddess. Others believed it was where a soul finally becomes free. Different paths, different names, one silence. Mount Kailash was never crowned with temples, never scarred by footsteps, never claimed by any one belief. It did not ask for worship. It asked for humility. Pilgrims don't climb it. They walk around it, slowly, as if circling a truth too large to face directly. Two lakes rest beside it, one calm, one dark, as if reminding us that light and shadow exist together, always. Ancient maps pointed toward centers, not to rule them, but to remember them. And when humanity learned how to fly, we still chose to look away. Maybe Mount Kailash is only stone and snow, or maybe it is the last place on earth where we remember that not everything is meant to be touched. In a world that measures worth by conquest, Kailash stands as a question. What if the highest wisdom is knowing when to stop? And so the mountain remains, unclimbed, unchanged, unanswered, waiting not to be conquered, but to be understood.